So, like, I wanted to speed run this shit, but, you know, as fucking luck would have it, you know, the universe told me shut the fuck up and my camera died, so I finally got the fucking hair video done, so I guess that's good. Sit back and relax, niggas. If you got kids, tell them to leave the room, because fuck. Listen, we're gonna go over a basically retrospective of the entire season we just endured. I wanted to do like a proper edited video, but again, my camera died, and I've been putting this shit off for maybe 2 full months, and I just need to get this shit out the way. So let's get this shit out the way so we can focus on the future. If you are watching this, you're either watching when it went live or sometime in the general future, and you're wondering what the fuck happened that first year that we had Harden and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. That's what you're wondering. Let me tell you what the fuck happened. This is a unbiased, unfiltered opinion. Maybe not completely unbiased, but let me just give you a rundown of what happened for people in the future who are wondering, well, what happened that first year? Let me tell you what happened. The year started with the hope and promise that Sir Kevin Durant would be returning to us, because as you remember, the season prior, it was just Kyrie and them. So Kevin Durant was coming back, and everyone was really excited. Karis LeVert was hype. He had just come off of, if you ask me, a very impressive performance in the bubble, even though we got our ass whipped by Toronto in the first round in the bubble, but that's not here nor there. Karis LeVert was looking ready. Karis LeVert was looking hungry. He was back to fucking niggas up. We were hype. Jared Allen was ready to prove himself a little bit. Taurean Prince was in the fold and stuff. Who else was on the roster at the time? Spoilers. The biggest thing going into the season was, what would we do defensively, because we didn't have much size. We were looking at DeAndre Jordan, Claxton. Was Claxton healthy yet? I think Claxton might have still been hurt. Claxton might have still been hurt in the beginning of the season. So we were looking at, it was DeAndre Jordan and I guess Jared Allen. And then after that we had gotten Bruce Brown. We didn't know he was a center yet, but we had gotten Bruce Brown in the Musa trade, I think. And who the fuck was our other center? Have we only had 2? Yeah, and I guess Jeff Green. Damn, looking back, I can see why we were concerned about our ability to guard the paint. Fair. But the other big concern, outside of who the fuck is going to play defense and guard in the paint, outside of Jared Allen and DeAndre Jordan, another one of our biggest fears was what were they going to do with the starting lineup? Because we obviously knew it was Kyrie, fill in the blank, Kevin Durant, fill in the blank. We assumed Jared Allen. Turned out they went with Spencer Dinwiddie. Spencer Dinwiddie was the starting 2 guard. So kind of took a lot of the ball handling responsibilities out of Kyrie Irving's hands. And I believe we went undefeated in the preseason. There was only 2 games because it was the first game coming back off of the bubble shit. So there was only 2 games. They restarted the season like really quickly after the Lakers won the championship. Like it was like a month turnaround type shit. And Karis LeVert was coming off the bench. And we were like, after what the fuck he just did in the bubble? But I mean, it was what it was, and we were winning games. I believe we fucked up Golden State on Christmas. I mean, it was looking really good. We were like, if you count preseason, we were 4-0. So 2 games into the new season, we fuck up Golden State on Christmas. Everything's looking great. Spencer Dinwiddie goes down halfway through that second game of the season, and it looked awfully familiar because he was grabbing his knee to some D-Rose shit, but everyone wanted to be positive. Reports come out in the morning that Spencer Dinwiddie had tore his ACL, and we were like, what the fuck? But we said it's all good because we still got Kyrie Irving. We still got Kevin Durant. We still got Karis LeVert. You know, now he gets to start. Like, it was all going to be okay. They continued to have Karis off the bench for a little while, which was a little questionable. And things got a little rocky. They would, like, win 2, lose 2, win 3, lose 2. It was like real 500 type shit. And then Kyrie Irving, I can't remember if he got hurt or if it was one of the first. There was multiple times where Kyrie Irving just randomly left the team. This is going to be a long video, strap in. Kyrie was in and out the lineup. Kevin Durant was in and out the lineup because it was either like COVID tracing or whatever they called that shit. It was just a weird fucking year. And things weren't looking too good. So we fast forward over to, I'd say, the beginning of January. Again, the season is maybe 3 to 4 weeks old, maybe. Barely 3 weeks old. And it looked like we had turned a corner. I can't remember who we beat, but we beat someone, and Kyrie was away from the team. I can't remember if this is when them niggas tried to overthrow the Capitol. 2021 was a crazy year. Don't worry about it. But Kyrie was gone from the team, and it was Kevin Durant out there with Karis and everything, and Karis LeVert basically had shown that he could step up and be that guy. He had a rough beginning of the season, but he finally got his shit back, and he was playing really well at a super high level. Jared Allen was doing really awesome, and it was a big morale win. The next day, we were supposed to play the other New York team. It was a back-to-back. We were kind of worried because KD wasn't playing back-to-back yet, and we were like, we might get our ass whipped. I don't know. And the report came out that Sean Marks and them traded Karis LeVert to the Pacers. Jared Allen and Taurean Prince went to the Cavs. Caruso, I can't remember where he went, but they shipped his ass off. All this to acquire James Harden. So again, we're like maybe 15 games into the season, and now James Harden is on the team. Shit was different. For me, I was hurt because I love Karis LeVert. Karis LeVert was my favorite player on the team at the time. And it was a lot. There was a lot of mixed emotions. Niggas was mad. Niggas was upset. Some saw the vision. I was not one of them. I was extremely upset about it. But Karis was gone. Jared Allen was gone. We would later find out that Karis LeVert had like some like heart shit or like some like tumor shit or something. I don't know. He had something wrong with him. And if he didn't have the physical to be officially traded, they wouldn't have found it, and it's possible that it might have cost him his life. So in hindsight, it's good Karis LeVert got traded, but it still hurts as a fan. But obviously his health is more important. And Jared Allen ended up getting a $100 million max deal from the Cavs at the end of the season. So it all worked out. Just kind of sucked for Nets fans. But we got James Harden. And that's when a certain hashtag was introduced called Scary Hours. The Scary Hours hashtag was so fucking crazy that it forced Drake to ride his own wave, I guess, and drop Scary Hours 2, which niggas forget, but that was like one of the best projects to drop this year, but that's neither here nor there. But it was real. Niggas were tweeting Scary Hours. It's like, yo, the Nets got Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, James Harden. How's this shit gonna work? And everybody who was a Nets fan basically came together and said, okay, it is what it is. The trade's done. This is either going to work and we're going to fuck everyone up, or it's not going to work and there's only one ball and they're going to fight and it's going to be crazy. But a lot of us came to the conclusion that it was going to be okay. The issue was Kyrie Irving was still away from the team for unexplained reasons. Kevin Durant was always in and out of the lineup because either he would re-injure himself or some kind of COVID protocol was breached. So what a lot of people don't remember about this season is that a majority of it was just James Harden, Joe Harris, DeAndre Jordan, Bruce Brown, who turned into a fucking center, TLC, Landry Shamet, Tyler Johnson. Cheese hurt himself pretty early on, so Chris Chiozza wasn't really a part of it. But it was basically the bubble Nets and James Harden, minus Jared Allen and Caris. And that led us to the 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference. Now, towards the end of the season, everybody came back. Everyone was generally healthy. So the health thing kind of solved itself. But I really just want to harp on the fact that I want everyone to remember that a majority of the 2020-2021 season was just James Harden and the bubble Nets. And we ended up the 2nd seed. I just want everyone to remember that. But that's neither here nor there. A couple, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, maybe, after the James Harden trade goes down. Maybe 1 month. Shit's getting really foggy now. But a couple weeks after the James Harden trade, Blake Griffin was rumored to try to get a buyout from the Detroit Pistons. And I remember everybody was like, wouldn't it be crazy if we got Blake, right? What? Then he got bought out. And I remember I told a lot of individuals, I ain't gonna say no names, but I told a lot of individuals, we getting Blake Griffin, right? And they could say, you ain't getting Blake, you ain't getting Blake, you ain't getting Blake. We got Blake Griffin. Now, it was like a week before he actually played because of Steve Nash's ramp up bullshit. Oh, by the way, Steve Nash is the coach. Forgot about that part. But so he finally goes out there. And now we've got Blake fucking Griffin. And he's bringing the bully ball and the Blakety-Blake nonsense and the three-point shooting and the passing and the hustle and the defense. It was fucking great. And again, for a majority of the time, it was basically James Harden out there with the bubble Nets and now Blake Griffin. Then Kyrie would come back every now and again, and it was like, oh, damn, this is a wild combination. Then Kyrie would go down and get hurt or something like that, or he'd randomly be away from the team, and Kevin Durant comes back. Then it's James Harden, Kevin Durant, Blake Griffin. Then sometimes it was just James Harden and Blake Griffin, but they made that shit work, and they won a lot of games. It might not feel like it because how the season ended, but the Nets didn't lose very often. It was a shock when they lost a game. We coined the term a dub is a dub because they didn't play any fucking defense, but they just blew niggas out. It was incredible how they were doing that with basically just James Harden and Blake Griffin. A few more weeks go by. Lamarcus Aldridge saying he wants to get bought out. Along the same time that Andre Drummond was saying he wanted to get bought out. And the Lakers saw what we did with Blake Griffin and scooped up Andre Drummond. So we took Lamarcus Aldridge. And we had the Lamarcus Aldridge on our team. If I can remember correctly, I believe there was at least one game, maybe two. I believe there were 2 games where everyone was healthy, except for Spencer Dinwiddie, of course. But we were talking about a lineup of, because DeAndre Jordan was still starting, Blake didn't start for a little while. But as soon as we got Lamarcus Aldridge, the starting lineup for about 2 games was James Harden, because Kyrie Irving halfway through the season said, you know what, you can be the point guard, I'll just shoot. Wild shit, right? So the starting lineup for a couple games was James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. I feel like Joe Harris was still starting at that point, so Joe Harris and Lamarcus Aldridge, with fucking Claxton and Blake Griffin coming off the bench. We didn't see DeAndre Jordan anymore after the Lamarcus Aldridge thing, but shit was crazy. I can tell you, I was already not losing on 2K, but there was about a 2-week stretch where it wasn't even fair how much I was winning on 2K with that lineup. I need the 2K archive gods to make sure that that's a classic team, because that is the most deadly lineup in NBA history. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. So we had Lamarcus Aldridge for about a week and a half, and then he retired. Yep, he just retired. He was having some heart trouble, and, obviously you can't fuck around with that, so he retired. So then Blake Griffin began to start at center instead of DeAndre Jordan coming back. DeAndre just never played again. And it was just Blake Griffin at 5, which was wild, and then Claxton coming off the bench. Yeah. So fast forward to the end of the season, Kyrie Irving comes back, Kevin Durant comes back, the team is 100% healthy with the exception of Spencer Dinwiddie, and we fucking people up. We get over to the 2nd seed, and we're still winning games even when it was meaningless. We go into the first round, our opponent is the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics had lost Jason Tatum, and we just kind of all collectively, no, not Jason Tatum, Brown something. What's that nigga's name? Brown. Jason Brown? No, not Bruce Brown. What the fuck is that nigga's name? Brown. Jaylen Brown, I think. I think it was Jaylen. I think his name is Jaylen Brown. Homie with the flat top who doesn't have the flat top anymore. Jaylen Brown. So he was hurt, and he wasn't going to be in the series. So it was basically us against Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker, a hobbled Kemba Walker. Evan Fournier, I think Marcus Smart was there maybe? I can't remember if he played or not. And Tristan Thompson. Ass. We fucked them up. They won like one game, I think game 3. We gave them a gentleman's sweep. Also, after game 3, somebody threw a water bottle at Kyrie Irving. Racist ass Boston, but that's not here to there. Wild shit. It was a crazy ass series. Kyrie also stepped on a logo and Kendrick Perkins got mad. Nigga, touch your toes. You feel me? But that's not here to there. Then we went over to the second round. This is where shit was crazy. The second round was us and the Milwaukee Bucks. And it was basically like, yo, we get past this, we're probably going to win a championship. The first possession of game 1, James Harden re-injures his hamstring. He's out. So it's just Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. But we're like, we'll be fine. Blew them niggas out the first 2 games in Brooklyn by like 30. Everything was looking great. Then we go back to Milwaukee, game 3, caught us slipping, but it was basically the Celtics series all over again. It was 2-1, nobody was worried, nobody was tripping. We go into game 4. We were kind of taking our time, making a real aggressive push, but I feel like Kyrie and KD were picking their spots. There was a lot of great moments where Kyrie was just saucing the fuck out of the entire Milwaukee Bucks team. It was beautiful. And then Kyrie went for, I believe, a putback layup. And he landed on Giannis's foot. Allegedly, Giannis didn't do it on purpose, but the man does have a history of putting his foot under other people. That's all I'll say. So, nothing happened. Purposefully. Allegedly. I think he did the shit on purpose, but that's just me. Kyrie Irving goes down, and for some reason, Giannis wasn't ejected from the game. Whatever. So Kyrie goes down, and it's just Kevin Durant. And what we learned from the season is if one of the stars goes down, it's highly unlikely we're going to win the game. So it was what it was. We lose game 4. It's 2-2. We go into game 5. It's at Brooklyn. Kevin Durant goes into God mode. And coming off of an Achilles injury, he put on one of the greatest offensive performances I've ever seen in my life. Like, again, I knew KD was good. I didn't know he was that good. Game 5 in the second round against the Bucks is one of the greatest playoff performances I've ever seen in my fucking life. I think he dropped 49. It was like a triple-double. It was God tier shit. It was really fucking scary. Going into game 6, we lost, but it was 3-3. We had a chance to close it out, but it was 3-3, and You know, it was basically just Kevin Durant out there with Blake Griffin and a lot of other talented people. It's just Steve Nash kind of just runs ISO KD and says, everyone get the fuck out the way. So now we're going into game 7. Jeff Green had cooled off. Joe Harris couldn't hit a shot to save his life. And it was just Kevin Durant. Basically 1-on-5 the entire game. If you enjoy offense with your basketball, go back and look at game 7. It is, again, fucking inhuman what Kevin Durant was doing by himself. I mean, we're talking about every play was that nigga is going out there and just ISO KD over and over and over again. It's like playing your little cousin in 2K. It's just ISO KD over and over again, and you can't do shit. James Harden came back in game 6, I think. I think it was game 6 or game 5. It was either 5 or 6. I can't remember, but he was really hurt. He couldn't really do much. He couldn't even really walk or move. So it was just Bruce Brown gets the rebound, gives it to Harden. Harden limps across half court, gives the ball to KD in the post, and KD just goes off. Kevin Durant, with the game tied up, hits what we all assumed was a three-pointer to win the game. Foot was on the line. We're going to overtime. And I think everyone collectively knew at this point that nigga's out of gas. And I will give the Nets credit. They played incredible defense because I believe we only lost the game by like 3 points. But we lost. Kevin Durant is a human. He's not God. He's human. And he gave us all he had. You can't ask anything more from that guy. And I will always remember that performance. But it wasn't enough. And we lost. In the second round, game 7 in overtime. Off. Again, one of the greatest performances in playoff history from Kevin Durant. And that's how the season ended. So I don't know how people will look back on this season in a couple of years. Because, like, no one ever talks about that first year of the Miami Heat Big Three like that. So I don't know how this will be looked back upon. I just know whenever I try to look back at the last Brooklyn Big Three, I can't seem to find what the fuck happened. I just see game highlights, and I just knew that we ran into LeBron. But I didn't know what happened. Well, the narrative in a couple years and when you watch this might be, well, them niggas ran into Giannis. That's how it happened. And that's the season we had. It wasn't because the players were washed up. It wasn't because niggas weren't good enough. They all just got injured, and Kevin Durant gave it his best. His absolute best. So that's what happened. For those of you who are wondering what happened in the 2020-21 season, that's what happened. I'm Sever the Bond. Hopefully, when you're watching this, the Nets have won a championship at some point, and hopefully I'm still on YouTube, and hopefully I'm not bald. Anyway, there you go.